welcome everybody. We're excited to have you guys here. My name is Sean. I get the opportunity to be on these events. As many of you know, if you've been with us for any length of time, we like to do 2 or 3 of these every single month where we bring in education and trainers of some of the best resources that we know and use in our business. And we're doing that today. So we're really excited to have Jordan from Smartphone with us. I'll type in hello. A couple things you can do as we get started to make this experience even better for you. If you're not following Tiff and Josh, definitely do that. And secondly, open up your chat because if you have questions throughout, you can throw them in the chat and we'll make sure that we get those answered. Number 3, be in a place where you can take some notes, jot some things down, ask some questions, and really listen. We do these to benefit you and your business. This isn't for my health or Jordan's health. Like, we do this for a living. We live in real estate and business and systems. So we do this for you. So I would encourage you to be in a place, be in a position where you can lock in for a good 45 minutes or so. We'll have a Q&A at the end. If that's okay with Jordan, we'll do a Q&A at the end to make sure we get all of your questions answered. We want to give you value, and we don't want you leaving this call today with any unanswered questions. If we can help you, that's what we're going to do. We are here to serve, we're here to help, and we're here to give you information and show you what we do. That's how we live here at Results Driven. Is we tell you what we do, we tell you why we do it, we tell you how we do it, and then we tell you the results that we have. And because we do it that way, it's extremely important that we show this at the beginning of every single one of our events, every one of our presentations. We will show you what we like to call our earnings and performance disclaimer. Just because Jordan does it a certain way and gets a deal, or I do it a certain way, or Tiffany and Josh do it, we can't guarantee you that exact same result. We would love to be able to do that. That would be great. However, we don't control what you do, and we don't control how you do it, so we can't guarantee you a result. However, we do like to use personal experience, personal stories, and things that happen so you understand, you get clarity. I hope everybody can appreciate that and you can understand that going into this call today, that we're going to share with you results. We're going to share with you what is working in our experience. And hopefully you guys can appreciate our transparency in that. So we love having you guys today. Now, something that we want to share with you guys as we get started is extremely important. You may want to jot these things down. This is very, very simple to understand. It's a little bit harder to execute because there's a little bit more to it. So I'm going to share this with you guys really quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jordan, and I'll introduce a little bit more about him and what we do and why we love working with him and his company. It's pretty straightforward. There's 5 areas of a business that as a business owner, you need to focus on. And inside of those areas, there's resources, tools, and things that we can leverage to improve the entire process and to simplify the entire process. Very, very easy. Number 1 is marketing. Number 2 is sales. Number 3 is TC or operations. Number 4 is dispo. Number 5 is finance. You need money to do deals, and you need money to grow your business. Pretty easy to understand. A little bit harder to do. A lot of training on that. We're not talking about that. What we will focus on right now is number 1 and 2. And everything that happens inside of your marketing channels, your marketing campaigns, your sales operations, and how to simplify things. Smartphone is one of, if not the best tools that I know of when it comes to how Hills Homes, how Tiffany and Josh teach the process and how to leverage systems to be able to improve your business and do more deals. That's what this is all about. Leveraging tools, systems, and things that will help you to do more deals in your business. Tiff and Josh maximize the use of smartphone in their business because of the features. Now, I'm going to let Jordan talk about the features. He's much smarter. He's the owner and creator of smartphones, so he knows it in and out better than I do as a user, but he can explain that. He'll talk about why Tiff and Josh use smartphone, the benefits of it, what it does to impact their business, and how they use it to scale, how they use it to improve their deal flow, how they use it to train their team, how they use it to save deals and make more money in their business. Because ultimately, that is what all of us want, is to be able to leverage other things to improve our businesses. So with that, Jordan, quick intro, quick framing of what we're going to talk about today and why we love having you, and we're grateful for your time. We appreciate our relationships with partners like you that provide an incredible service, an incredible product that we love. As you know, Jordan, as every one of our students know, we don't promote things we don't use, and we don't share things that we don't use. And so if you're on this call, it's because we love this tool, we love the resource, And we think it's so key for investors to understand how to use it to be able to improve their businesses. A lot of investors either one, don't know, or understand and appreciate it. That's probably why they're not using it, is they don't really understand or appreciate the benefits, or they just weren't aware of it at all. And so thank you, Jordan, for joining us today. Thank you for being willing to share your insights, your knowledge, and what you guys have done and some of the new features that are coming out, some of the new opportunities that will help investors. So with that, let me stop sharing. You should be able to take it over if you want to. That's totally up to you. Thank you so much for being here. I will be in the chat to answer questions, and it's all yours, my friend.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sean. And thank you, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I've worked with Tiff and Josh now for years. I'm not going to say how many because it's going to date us all. But we've been working together for many, many years. And, to this point, at this point, we've probably got about 2,600 real estate investment companies that use smartphone on a daily basis. And Tiff and Josh, their community, and a lot of a lot of the community across the country, we've been able to connect with them and really learn from them what best practices happen, how they're best connecting with their leads, and we are able to build the technology to suit their needs. So one of the defining features I think that smartphone really has is that it is one of the only phone systems you'll see that has been built for real estate investors by real estate investors and connects to some of the best in class real estate investment CRMs. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into that today. What I will go do is I want to talk a little about what I've seen as the co-founder of Smartphone, working with all these different investment companies, what I've seen best practices being as they have scaled their businesses. And we've got businesses inside of Smartphone that are just starting out. We've got businesses that are starting to scale, and we've got some companies that are doing deals in almost every state at the moment, right? Like we've got a couple companies that are doing so many deals across so many states. I have no idea how big they are at this point, but we've got everyone from and always in between. And what that gives me is a bit of an insight into how the real estate market is adjusting, how people are adjusting as the market changes, and how they're using technology differently, and how important it is, how important it even more important is right now as markets are changing and as people are trying to figure out how to deal with things, that the efficiency of how they manage and connect to leads is focused on. And that's one of the things that I think if you are connecting your phone system, your communication system, the way that you get in your leads' hands, if you're connecting that with your CRM and you're following some basic principles, you're going to be able to succeed regardless of what the market is because you're going to be efficient in how you manage your leads, and you're going to ensure consistency of both your follow-up and of how your scaling team performs. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this through a couple things, and I'm going to show you inside a smartphone as well to give you some tips and tricks. The first thing I'm going to go through is how we make sure that no leads slip through the cracks. Because one of the things that absolutely drives me nuts is where I see investors who spend all their time talking about generating new leads and they aren't working the leads they've got enough, right? And we all know, and we should know, that the follow up is one of your most important parts of your deal cycle. And if you are spending a lot of money on getting leads, you want to make sure you're tracking that return and you want to make sure you're following up properly. And that's something that you can leverage technology to do. So I'm going to share my screen here and I'm going to poke around and show you a few things here. So let me just make sure this is working. I think it's this screen. Can you see my smartphone, Sean?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One of many copies that I have, so I'm hoping I'm in the right one, as you can imagine. So the first thing, again, what I want to start out with is, making sure that nothing slips through the cracks. in your leads, and making sure that you are accurately understanding what is performing and what isn't. And the first very, very simple thing that we always tell people when they sign up a smartphone is use your phone numbers intelligently to track a real return on the investment you're spending on marketing. And that is something you can do very, very simply inside a smartphone by simply buying numbers for the different inbound channels that you're using. It's something I always recommend doing. And I'm going to pop over here, and in this phone numbers section here, you can see that here I have a bunch of different numbers and I've given them friendly names. Now, what's great about this is, of course, you are then able to categorize with every bit of the inbound marketing efforts you're doing, whether that is online advertising, whether that's bandit signs, whether it's leaflet drops, whatever it is, you're able to segment out by phone numbers and make sure that you know which channel is generating the leads. And because those leads and those communications are going to be synced directly into your CRM if you're using smartphone, it means you're able to track that life cycle and see what the actual return is. Because it's not enough, in my opinion, to just track how many phone calls you get on a bit of marketing. What really matters is how much, the honest truth is, what really matters is how much money you're making, right? Like that's, if I'm spending money, I want to make sure I am making enough money to give me the return that is worth it. And the only way I can do that is to track it effectively. And so, what I always recommend people is when they're starting to invest in marketing and they're starting to look at different channels, segment that out with inbound. When they're an inbound source, radio, bandit size, whatever, leaflet drops, door, whatever it is like that, segment them out with different phone numbers. You can buy numbers at with one click here, it takes seconds to buy a number. Give it the name so that you know exactly which channel, which type of marketing you're using. And then you're going to be able to run reports inside of your CRM every month and see exactly what is not only generating calls, but more importantly, what's generating ultimate income and profit. And that's something that you really, the technology by linking your phone system directly inside your CRM, you've got that ability to do that and get an accurate view of it. Now, another really important part of ensuring that nothing slips through the cracks is to make sure that you're actually routing your calls properly. And smartphone particularly gives you the ability, as you can see here, we call it call flow. Is essentially what a call flow is, or a text flow, SMS flow. It's a way of telling smartphone exactly what to do when someone calls or texts your numbers. And that's really important because you want to make sure you're routing it properly, and you want to make sure that you are never letting those leads go to voicemail if you can help it, right? If you've got someone calling in, you want to answer that call. And so, for instance, we've got a functionality in smartphone called Pro Dialing, and when with Smartphone Pro, and what Pro Dialing will allow you to do is set a group of people. So if I've got my users here, I can set a group of people, a team, we call them now. We used to call them groups. They changed it to teams. But we can set this up. You see here, there's 6 people in this team. I can make sure now that my call flow goes to a team. So here's an example of a sales team one, and it's going to go ahead and dial a team instead of a person. Now, what that means is that if I've got an inbound lead coming, I can ensure it rings to everybody in that team to make sure that that call is picked up. It's really, really important because the last thing you want to do is let someone call someone else because you didn't answer, right? You let them do that, and the chances are whoever gets on that phone first is way more likely to get that deal, way more likely to establish that relationship. So you want to make sure that happens. Now, top tip that I'll be talking about at the end of the presentation, we're about to launch our own inbound AI agents to make sure that you have the ability to have an AI agent answer your calls 24/7, no matter what happens, and qualify out properties. But regardless of whether you use an AI agent or not, you want to make sure you structure your phone system and your flows in such a way that you are able to make sure that every call is answered. Another part of making sure that things don't slip through the cracks is actually very simply using some of the inbuilt automation that we've developed with all of our CRMs. So, for instance, we have a full capability with every CRM we're connected to automate text messaging based on leads coming in. So it's a very, very easy thing to do to create an automation using smartphone and your CRM. Um, to create an automation to ensure a immediate text back to someone to make sure that if you've missed a call, you text them back and try and make sure you get on that call immediately with them. It's little automations like that which will make sure that your speed to lead time stays consistently high and make sure that they're not going to go to someone else because they simply didn't hear back from you. So those automations, those flows, and making sure you track those inbound marketing numbers so that you know exactly where the return is coming on the spend. Those are really critical, what I'd call almost core functionalities as you're scaling your team and you're investing in marketing to do with your phone system, particularly if you're using smartphone when you're connected to your CRM. Now, another really important part of I know how Tiff and Josh they really care about the follow up, right? I mean, the follow up is an incredibly important part of anybody's sales system, but in real estate, honestly, the follow up is absolutely crucial. If you're spending money on leads, don't let them drop. Don't try and just spend money on new leads. Follow, 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 and follow up again. And smartphone makes it really easy. And I know that Tiff and Josh teach how to do that follow up via Smart Dialer, which is our 4-line power dialer. Now, for those of you who don't know, a 4-line power dialer is a really, really efficient way of dialing through your leads. And the great news is that when we connect with one of our CRMs, Podio, Salesforce, REI Sift, Investments, we've got all sorts of them, got high level. When we connect with our CRMs, we build Smart Dialer directly into those integrations so that you can seamlessly pass things between your CRM and Smart Dialer. You see here, this system I'm connected to is actually connected to Podio right now. Um, and I am actually able to reach into my CRM and grab a list, a dynamic list of people I need to follow up. And I can simply open up a campaign, open up a list of people, and then rather than going through and clicking each lead, right? Going into your CRM, going to the next one, clicking a number, making a call, that's a really not efficient process. And what you want to be doing is making sure you're following up using automations for text message, and you want to make sure you're following up with your phone calls in the most efficient manner. You don't want to be spending a lot of time clicking through your CRM to find the people that you want to follow up with. So Smart Dialer is an amazing way of following up on those leads. And it is as simple as setting up a campaign by, for instance, reaching into your system and finding the leads that you want to follow up on. It could be all leads marked as follow up. It could be all leads that you haven't called for 30 days, whatever that is, whatever the criteria it is. Um, and it's as simple as clicking start. I'm just going to run, and it's going to start dialing up to 4 lines at once. And it's going to start dialing. Now it's going to probably give me all sorts of weird messages because these are all fake numbers so that I don't I don't have a really weird call for someone. I'm not calling someone. So here we are. I've just connected to fake Jenna King in Charleston, South Carolina. And and but the efficiency of being able to load up a list, dial them, click play, have the system start working those leads, connecting to the people who actually pick up. And in this case, I can see the information from my CRM. It's giving me the information that I've got to date. And then I'm able to do all the things that make my life easier as a salesperson. I'm able to take notes. I'm able to drop them a text message. I'm able to transfer the call to one of my other teams if it's someone I need to get them in contact to. But it's the efficiency of making that call that matters, because what you want to make sure, I just hung up and I will finalize that. Call back. Why not? Doesn't really matter. Now I can go ahead and call and start calling the next set of leads. And I don't actually have to do anything. I can simply load up and just keep going, and all those follow-ups will be done, and most importantly logged in your CRM. The follow-up is so important, whether that is by the text message automations or by using something like Smart Dialer to make sure that those efficient follow-ups are happening. So those are really kind of core, kind of fundamental things that I think are really important. And I know Tiff and Josh teach on that. I want to now move to some of the more advanced things that people are starting to use more and more as technology's improved. And the first thing that I want to show you guys is actually how to leverage video to make sure that you are connecting with sellers and qualifying properties without necessarily having to make the trip. Or if you're starting to work in remote markets which you're not in. You know, people are doing more and more remote wholesaling. We're seeing it more and more across our customer base. It's why we launched video calling, because we kept hearing from people that they're doing more and more remote wholesaling. But one of the challenges of remote wholesaling is, of course, how do I make sure that what I'm talking to the seller about is actually true, right? How do I make sure that what they're telling me on the phone is true, so that I don't make a 2-hour trip to see a property that's actually a dump when they said it was pretty good. And video calling is a phenomenal way of doing it. And I can tell you a little bit about how we've seen people start to train video calling within their teams. The great thing about video calling is that you can initiate that inside a smartphone, inside the mobile app as well. And the person on the other end, the seller that you're speaking to, they don't have to download anything. They don't have to do anything special. They don't have to have an iPhone or an Android specifically. They don't have to have anything at all. You can go ahead and initiate a video call with anybody you want. In fact, I will just start one right now just so you see. It works from the mobile, so if you're out and about, I'm going to go ahead and Jason Bourne and I just spoke a few minutes ago, I know, as I was making a test call, and I can literally just click the video call, and it's going to send Jason a text message. And what's great about that is I can be on a call with someone and say, "Listen, are you at the property right now?" I've seen recorded videos of people who've sent it to me and said, "Look what I did. Are you at the property right now?" No problem. Great. Do you want to switch to video? Oh, sure. Great. So you've suddenly got this ability to transfer over to a video call, but instead of using FaceTime on your phone, where that call goes to your own personal number, that video doesn't get recorded, you've lost all that information. With smartphone video, you're actually able to have those calls with your sellers at the property, and you're actually able, here I go, I'll send invites text. I mean, Jason's not going to answer me. But I am able to start a video call. There you go. I've got two videos, and I'm able to do that right directly from my phone system. And every call that I make, every video call that I make, I can, if I'm using Smartphone Pro, I can record that video call automatically, and that video call will be directly inside of your CRM minutes after the call is ended. Now, the power of having your calls, your text, your voicemails, your smart dialer power dials, your video calls to sellers who are at the property to show you around, the power of having that fully connected to your CRM is enormous. It gives you all the information you need logged against your leads, which gives you not only opportunity to truly understand the leads you're working on so that you can do a better job at closing, but it also makes sure that you're able to maintain a very personal relationship because you've tracked that history and you're able to review it when you're doing your next calls, right? You're able to, like any good salesperson, you're able to look at the history, refresh your memory so that when you're on that call, you're able to actually know what you spoke about last time. Last time we talked about this. Is that still the case? It's really hard to keep that in your memory. It's really hard to keep that just when you're working lots of leads, just at the top of your mind. It's very easy to do it when you've got every communication logged inside of your phone system and more importantly, inside of your CRM. Now, there are just two more bits I'm going to go through in terms of things that I've seen people use, and then I want to open up to your questions, right? Because the most important thing I find is always to be able to answer as many questions as I can. But the last two things I really want to talk to you about, which is more advanced things I've seen some of the best operators do, is the first one is how to make sure that you're using warm transferring to avoid a callback scenario. Now, let me explain about that. A lot of times, what we're seeing is as people are working colder follow-ups or they're getting new lead lists in, we're seeing that most companies are using some element of a VA company, a VA system, whether it's in the Philippines, it's in South America, it's all over the place, quite honestly. They tend to be using VAs to warm up and figure out a qualification of a lead, like is this person worth talking to at all? And then they transfer the ownership of the responsibility to an internal sales team once it is qualified. And that's a very, very sound process. But a challenge with that is when you've got a hot lead on the line, you don't want to say, I'll have someone call back. You don't want to lose the momentum. And that's where we've seen more and more of our best operators use warm transferring to ensure that they're always keeping hot leads on the line. And the scenario is this. Say I've got a VA working and they're using Smart Dialer to follow up on a cold lead, the old lead list that we're just following back up. We're working it to make sure to see if there's anything that's still there. They're making calls, great. They get connected to someone and they have someone in line that was actually, you know what? I do have this. I do want to start to sell now. It wasn't right for me before. I'm really in the, I really have an urgent need to do this. They've converted from being a cold prospect, a almost dead prospect, into being an immediate need prospect. Well, the VA is very rarely going to make those sales, right? They're very rarely going to be able to develop that properly. What happens normally is that you expect them to pass that lead internally. Now, what most people have been doing in the past is they will say, "Great, you know what? I'm going to have Sean. I'm gonna have Sean Anderson call you. He's our best guy who's gonna help you out, and he'll give you a ring tomorrow. What's a good time? 6 p.m. Fine. But you got them on the call. You've got them on the call. So why do you want to get rid of that? You want to strike while the anvil is hot. Now, this is where technology can help you again. And we've got something in smartphone called warm transfers. Now, I'm going to make a little call here. I'm going to call Jason and mute some things because Jason's me on, on another copy of smartphone. Uh, Let me just make sure that I'm. Yes, thank you. Oh, I set myself to away. That's not good. Shit, I set myself away. That's not as helpful. Sorry, I set myself away. So when let me try that one more time. And I'll try Jason one more time. My apologies. So now I've got Jason. When I'm gonna get Jason on the phone, I'm gonna pretend I'm essentially a VA. Wait, do it to the right account. Oh, I'm setting it off. Oh, don't do live demos. Don't do live demos. All right, I'm gonna explain it. 'Cause don't do live demos because usually I have someone else I'm calling and they answer. Let me explain how it works. Essentially, when you're not just trying to call yourself many times, warm transferring is a very, very simple process and it's really powerful. And warm transfer basically means I've got a VA and they're on a call. Great opportunity. And I want to bring Sean in. I don't want to get them to call back. So with warm transferring, I'm able to say to my lead, listen, if you can give me a second, I'm going to get Sean on the line and he's going to be able to walk you through this. Oh, no problem. I can now put that lead, my VA can put that lead on hold. They listen to some nice music, whatever. At the same time, I can reach out inside the smartphone. I can add Sean in, but the lead's not going to hear them yet because the VA is going to be able to tell Sean the basics of the conversation. Sean, this is a property that we were looking at 2 years ago. They weren't ready, blah, blah, blah. They now had this changed. We just talked about that. They seem really ready. Great. Sean's got that information now. Now I can unmute, I can bring that lead back in, and I can say, hey, Laura, for want of a better word, this is Sean who I was telling you about. Now, Sean's one of our senior managers here, and he's going to be able to walk you through this whole process and help you get the results that you want. I, as the VA now, I can leave. I can hang up in smartphone. I've done my job. I can go back to Smart Dialer and I can start calling new leads. At the same time, Sean has been brought into that call, and that call is going to continue in smartphone, recorded, and then logged. That ability to make sure that you never that you don't go for the callback, but you keep a hot lead and connect them to someone internally is something we're seeing more and more people use inside of smartphone to ensure they never get a callback scenario. It's really important when you got a hot lead on the line. My view has always been if you got someone hot on the line, don't let them off the line. Don't cool it down by saying you'll have someone call back. So that's the first thing I wanted to kind of show you in terms of, or try to show you, although I'm here, I am trying to call myself. And the final thing is to talk a little bit about how AI can help you in these scenarios. AI is not just a buzzword everybody's talking about, it's here to stay. And it is an incredibly empowering tool for your best performers and make sure that your worst performers aren't going to hurt you and you can identify them and either train them up or get them out. And there's a couple bits of ways which AI has been built into smartphone that I want to talk to you about. Now, the first is kind of goes in hand with another feature that Tiff and Josh train on all the time, which is call whispering, monitoring, and barging. So when you start training your agents, one of the best methods that I've ever seen for training agents is the I do, you listen, you do, I coach, you do, I listen approach. It's a three-phase approach, and we use technology to help that. And inside smartphone, we've got something called call monitoring, which is right here. And with call monitoring, I'm able to watch all the calls going on in my system. Everybody in my system who's actively on a call, I'm able to watch. And as I'm able to watch, I'm able to actually listen into those calls live. The agent's not going to know I'm listening. The other person on the line is not going to know I'm listening. But I'm able to listen, and I'm able to leverage this particularly the call monitoring and whisper and barge. It's a great way of getting people trained because you're able to listen into their calls, and with whispering, you're actually able to coach your person while they're speaking to the prospect, and you're able to whisper in their ear and coach them. And that gives them hands-on experience with a backstop of you being able to train them up. It's a great way of getting someone who's maybe new into your organization and bringing them on using this technology. But we can take it a step better with AI. And so we can go past just the call whisper and monitoring and barging in into actually seeing what happens on the calls and being able to track performance and quality in two main ways right now. The first is in a simple summary and transcript. So with smartphone, you're able to activate AI transcripts and summaries. New features that are coming to this are things like sentiment analysis and some other bits and pieces. But you can see here is a summary of a call. We've discussed a motivated to sell due to job relocation, wants to maximize prices. I mean, who doesn't? Discussing the ranges. So the AI has been able to identify the motivation, the price ranges you're looking at, um, the some of the different elements around paperwork and what's next, supporting through the process, professional photography, all that sort of stuff. The AI summary is able to give you that snapshot of the call, and then of course you can look at the absolute transcript of the call yourself. And in there you'll see some of these. color-coded bits. This is where you are able to identify keywords and key topics that matter to you to draw them out. So you can see here, we know we care about follow-ups, viewings, prices, um, and so the transcript is actually able to draw them out and let you very quickly go to them by clicking on that. It's a really, really great way for those of us who want to maintain. If you've got multiple agents working, you want to make sure that you are maintaining quality. And these AI transcripts and summaries are the best first step of doing that in the most efficient way. Used to be that you just have to go through and listen to calls, listen to calls, listen to calls, listen to calls. Well, actually, with transcripts and summaries, that cuts it down enormously. Those transcripts and summaries, by the way, they go straight into our connected CRMs as well. So they're not just inside smartphone, but every call that's logged inside of your CRM, that smartphone logs, that call and that summary is logged in there with it. And that means that you've got it connected to the leads in your CRM, which is where you need it. Now, leveling up the AI elements to this is actually a new partnership we've just launched with Steve Trang's Objection Proof Selling. I don't know how many of you guys know who Steve Trang is. Sean, you must know Steve. Um, Steve is Steve and his companies are relative legends in the sales training for real estate space. And so Steve has trained hundreds and probably thousands of real estate companies on sales processes. And recently, he's launched an AI call scoring tool called Objection Proof Selling. It takes his sales methodology and scores all your calls and scores all your agents. We're the first phone system to fully integrate with Steve's objection-proof selling tool. I'm going to show you a bit of the power this brings you as it relates to being able to maintain quality and performance and ensure that you know what agents are doing well, who is not doing well, and even triggering a bit of competition inside your agents for who's best and who's worst. So this is an example of a call scoring document that Steve sent me. Um, there's some really great stuff in here, and you've got, by the way, a seamless ability with smartphone to connect to this, and every single one of your calls gets scored like this, so that you get the ability to see a summary of every single call, a summary of what they've done well, what they've done poorly, etc. And we're going to be building some reporting inside a smartphone so that you can see those metrics, these exact metrics, inside a smartphone in a visual way instead of a document. But what's great about this tool and what's going to help you if you've got agents and you're scaling up, and why technology can help you do that, is it gives you a full sense of how did this call go, but it also scores the call and the agent on the key sales features that go into making a successful sales call. So things like opening and control, empathy, curiosity, stories versus explaining, guiding prospects to sell themselves, identifying objections, all of those elements that go into a great call. This system knows what great calls are and it scores it automatically. This was automatically generated. And you can see here not only a score for each one, but you can see here that it's going to give you for each one of those why it was a 5 out of 10, why it was an 8 out of 10. The call's opening was polite and included necessary disclosure and framing, blah, blah, blah. But the rep allowed the conversation to drift with little firm steering or agenda setting beyond this. The pace was uneven. The rep did not consistently guide focus back to concrete sales objective, right? This is all of that quality assurance that you need to make sure that your team, as you're scaling, is doing it, but it's automatically done for you so that you can identify the problems that your agents have. You can identify which agents need to be worked on. And because the agents get this screening themselves, they get these scores, you can give the agents the ability to self-improve and to set themselves up for success by getting the best score. I know I've seen and watched agents saying, man, I got an 85 out of 100 on a call the other day, right? And that competition is sort of an innate to the salespeople. And now you have an ability with smartphone and objection-proof selling to have a constant quality assurance monitoring every single call for you that understands how to sell and understands what makes a good sales call. It gives a strategy checklist of what's gone well and not. It gives top three tactics, unforced errors, all of this automatically generated by a system that understands sales. So that's a really exciting thing as you are starting to grow your as you're starting to grow your team. If you have got agents that are working around, you know, and I know Tiff and Josh train that how important quality assurance and maintaining that rigorous quality control is. It's hugely important. Well, now we've got tools that'll do that for you and identify what's good, identify what's bad, so you can do what you really want to do, which is make sure that your performers are being trained properly. You can spot the weaknesses easily and automatically. So those are the key things I wanted to give you guys today. Before I just launch into the Q&A and answer as many questions as I can, I did want to say that I've got a few things for you that I'll give to Sean and the team, and they can pass it over to you via text or email tomorrow. There's a couple things that are coming up. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, we've got a brand new inbound agent that's launching soon, an agent ability, which is real estate trained and basically means that every day your calls, every minute, 24/7, your calls can be answered by an agent that's able to qualify, ask questions about the property, and live connect to to one of your team if need be, schedule follow-ups, whatever. We've got that coming up soon, and I'm going to give you guys early access to it. Second thing is we've got a new buyer text message broadcast tool, basically a text message marketing tool that's aimed at connecting you to your buyers and broadcasting out properties that you've got. It's a fantastic way of getting it right there. And it's a bulk messaging tool, SMS tool, text messaging tool that's built right into smartphone, which will allow you to connect to your buyers and display your properties for sale. And the final thing is we've got a brand new book coming out at the end of the month called Click, Call, Scale. And I'm going to give everybody on the call a free copy of that. Basically, a guide to, after 12 years of working in telephone sales for real estate and working with thousands of investors, I wrote a book to give the best practices that I've seen. And I'm going to be able to give all of you guys a free copy of that once I give the links over to Sean and the team. So I'd love to, Sean. That's my sort of the basics of the best practices that I've seen to date, and I'd love to answer any questions anybody has.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to grab Coach Steven here really quick and talk specifically. Hey, Coach Steven. Everybody say hey to Coach Steven. Coach Steven runs the show for Tiffany and Josh, and he's really an expert at what Tiffany and Josh do inside of their business and how they use these features to benefit their real estate business. And they use all of them. They use the whisper feature, just like Jordan mentioned, that you can train over the shoulder of somebody on what to say next. And that is fantastic. Obviously, you have to be trained yourself to know what to say in order to be able to coach that particular team member. The barge feature is a fantastic one, but I wanted to go specifically to like the call recording, Stephen. I know that's huge for us and what we do. What I love about what you mentioned, Jordan, is the tracking and the AI data. That is fantastic. I will call that KPIs. Tracking your batting average and knowing your batting average result is different than fixing it. And so you want to be able to both with metrics, you have to be able to track metrics, identify problems, and fix it. You have to be able to do all three things. Some people focus on KPIs only. They track their results only, but they have a hard time identifying where the red flag is, and they don't know how to fix it. So you got to be able to track your KPIs to be able to understand it. With call recording, it allows us to fix it. It allows us to fix that. So you can take the information, the data, say, oh, you sucked here. Man, you didn't do good here on your opening. That's the KPI. That's great. Now it's What do you say next? How do you say it? What tonality? We want to talk about that a little bit more, Coach Stephen, on how you coach students in the sales process using call recordings that we use inside of smartphone real quick. I want to make sure everybody
Yeah.
understands the importance of
No,
doing.
absolutely. And I love the fact, Jordan, that you guys are rolling that out. Because just like what Sean was saying, even us, let's call a spade. And even when Sean and I talk about doing these call recordings and call audits and stuff like that, when you have something like that and a tool that powerful to be able to help you notice the things before they slip through the cloud, the crash completely, right? Where you can get those red flag indicators getting raised up. And if you guys have attended any call audit with me, I always tell you guys the two most important things on making any of these calls is tonality and active listening. And what the AI, when you power those level of trainings with the AI, it allows you to sit there and say, hey, Sean, this call was a 5 out of 10. As a leader, I'm now going to go audit Sean, try to figure out what happened. Because like Sean said, it's not all about hearing what happened and then now trying to fix everything in hindsight. It's how do we start to look at, hey, Sean, what can we do right now to make this call a workable opportunity still? Right. And AI is great. And what AI will allow you to do is save a lot of time. So Jordan, I love the fact that you were able to show that to them. But just like what Sean was saying, it's now how do you take the information that is being given, and then now it's a coaching plan to strategically put in place to make it so where it doesn't happen anymore. And then not only that, when it comes to that grading system, can you get the fives after the last three calls to become sevens, and sevens become nines, and nines become tens, right? And all of that's going to be able to make you a little bit more predictable in place as well.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Coach Stephen. Coach Stephen like lives in that
I
sales
love it.
working with sellers.
Love
So
it.
I'm going to steal him while we have him on here. Talk about exactly how we use the features of smartphone to coach to close more deals, to reduce our offers to contract, to reduce our cost per contract, to increase our close rate, increase the number of contracts. We use all of these features to identify certain things that we coach on. And that's important for business owners. That's why tools and features and leveraging a system like Jordan's. I mean, obviously, we've talked about it for an hour. We can't talk enough about the benefit of using systems and leverage like this to improve your business. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a one-man show or you have a team. It works great for both. You should be auditing your own calls, scoring your own calls, getting feedback on your own calls so you can improve as a salesperson. Or if you have a team, you should be implementing this to audit their calls, to score their calls, to give them feedback on their calls. Stephen, can you talk about, there's two things that we do this for: saving a deal right now and improving performance. Talk about those two things and why we use recordings and tools like this to do that.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. So, a couple of different reasons why we do that, Sean, is one, if you guys have ever attended a call audit with me, when we get to talking about doing a process call, the importance of having a recording is it allows you, before you go make the offer call, can you go find two or three things to leverage the emotions you got on the process call to create this deal to happen? Are you the type that gets on an offer call and just throws out a price in which you ran your comps at? Or if you have something like this, or like what Sean was saying with the whisper or barge feature, your manager is listening into the conversation to be able to help your team make the best qualified offer at any given time. Or sometimes it's called a spade a spade. We messed up on our call. We fumbled up a little bit. We didn't pick up on some of the roadblocks that we now picked up on the offer call, but we picked up on the process call. And a lot of what we talk about is not looking at everything in hindsight and saying, Sean, this is what you should have done better. It's, hey, Sean, get them back on the call. We heard this. Asking them this. Ask around this. Hey, you didn't even touch on this roadblock. How do we get them back on the call for a manager follow up and allow ourselves to go through here? And then using something like the whisper feature, because sales is sometimes very uncomfortable. It's Steven, that sounds great. I just don't know how to do it. Cool. Hop on the call. I'm going to be in there with you. And if you need a live transfer, I'll barge in. I'll help support you. But how can you leverage that whisper feature? Hey, Sean, slow down your tonality a little bit. You're talking a little fast. You're really nervous. You're really jittery. Slow it down. And being able to coach them through those moments. All of that is through the audit process. You don't pick these things up if you're not even using all the tools and resources at your disposal to be able to lock up more deals more consistently. Because I tell students all the time, everybody wants to be more consistent and predictable, but yet you aren't tracking, you're not auditing, you're not leveraging the tools and resources to become more consistent and predictable.
Love.
And I'm so grateful you guys teach that because it's terrifying to me As I said at the start, we've got about 2,500 real estate investment companies that use our platform on a day-to-day basis. It's terrifying to me how many people train someone and then assume that's fine, right? And like they'll do a couple days training and then they'll let them loose for 3 months, and you're like, and when I see that, I said, okay, so how many deals did you lose? How many deals did you
How
lose
much
in that
money
three
did that
months?
cost you? How much money?
Right, like, and it's terrifying to me that the very much basics of quality assurance. That's why I'm excited, Stephen. I don't know if you'd seen Objection Proof selling the new AI tool yet, but one of the things I'm excited about that is it makes it almost like it makes it impossible for you not to have that understanding of performance. Like, you got to go out of your way to not use that and to ignore your performance now. And I'm excited about that because keeping that performance up every week is what we've got to be doing, or you are leaving tons of money on the table.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
So remember this, like, we use tools and leverage everybody, and then we'll do a Q&A and we'll wrap up. I only have Jordan and Stephen for another 5 minutes or so. That's all I promised them. So I want to make sure I abide by that. Is high level sales process have tools and systems that they leverage. Onboarding is critical. If you're gonna, you need to be onboarded yourself, or you need to onboard your team member correctly. And like Jordan was alluding to, ongoing sales training, tracking sales KPIs, identifying red flags, training on those red flags. It's not something that you do once for a week and then set it and forget it. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Or else the best athletes would win a game and never practice again. Well, they won the last game. They closed the last deal. So I made the last shot. I don't need to shoot any more free throws. I made my last one. That's not how it works. Sales is no different. You fall off processes just like athletes fall off their process. And so if you're not leveraging features that are in smartphone, I would recommend it, highly recommend it. I might be biased because I like it, but if you're not going to use smartphone, use somebody where you can have these type of features and benefits to be able to service your business, so you are not letting leads die or slipping through the crack or missing opportunities, because you got to look at opportunity cost. I love the way that Stephen teaches that. Save deals, not just not training for future, but save the one right now. That's really, really cool with the sales process and the training tools. And that's one of the reasons, one of them, that we do a multiple call process and not a one-time close. That's one of the reasons, is we can save more deals and do more good and help more sellers by having the process we have and using tools like this. So thank you so much, Jordan and Stephen. Any questions you guys have for Coach Jordan or Coach Stephen? Coach Jordan or Coach Stephen, I'm gonna call him a coach. Coach Jordan or Coach Stephen, in the next 5 minutes before I have to let them go. You can raise your hand and I can unmute you. You can drop it in the chat and we'll make sure that these guys answer your questions. I did throw the link in there for your guys' convenience. Click on that link, schedule a call, jump on with Jordan and his team. Let me go to Scott here. Let me see if I can unmute you, Scott. Welcome. You should be unmuted on my end. Scott, how are you?
Doing good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
What's your question?
Jordan, appreciate the presentation. Is there any lag time with it getting forwarded to like multiple team members, like in hearing and people talking over each other?
For call forwarding or for whispering barging? Well, either way, no. To be
Okay.
honest with you. Yeah, there shouldn't be. I mean, the only lag time you'll ever have is if your connection isn't strong or you've got a very, very high ping rate. Because obviously a cloud-based, we're an internet-based service. So if you have anything around that, that's really the only time you're going to have any problems. Is that, and it's certainly, um, for the most part, unless you got pretty bad connections, you should be absolutely fine.
Okay, cool. Great the presentation. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for being here, buddy. Any other questions that you guys have for Coach Stephen on using features for your sales process, or Jordan specifically on features and benefits and advantages of what the tool provides? I mean, he did a great job. I will give him credit of covering that. Jordan said he doesn't like to prepare presentations, but he does a good job. He does a good job for sure.
I don't like PowerPoint.
Oh,
I prepare. I just don't like PowerPoint.
I guess prepare is probably not the right word, right? I guess when you live in it every day, it's like it secondhand. So
well, I designed, Sean, I designed the initial smartphone that we built in 2017. I drew out on paper. I still have a drawing of what I thought it should be like, and that's how it looked for the first year.
I love that. I love the advancements. Any questions? I know. Actually, I'm looking at the list here, Stephen. Several of you we're going to see in person next week, which will be a lot of fun. We can talk more about that and all of these features next week at the workshop. Any questions for us? Let us know. Jordan, they have the link for smartphone. Stephen, if they have any other questions about implementing this and implementing sales process, can they email you, or would that be okay? I'm going to
Yeah,
put you on
absolutely.
the
Let me drop
spot.
my email down there for everybody as well.
So he'll throw his email in there if you have any questions for Coach Stephen about implementing the tools and resources that smartphone provides into the sales process. Email him for sure. I will make sure we get this recording sent out to everybody tomorrow. Well, if that's okay with Jordan, I think you're okay with that. If we send out the recording tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm going to, as I said, I've got a few things to give away, early access to some of the
Yes.
tools, the free copy of the book, and also I'm going to add in $50 of credit for anybody so that you can use the AI tools and try it out. So I'll add in an easy way for you guys to claim $50 credit. $50 credit's worth about 2,500 minutes of calling ish, slash use of the AI tools. So I'll make sure that I get a link over. If you fill in the form, we'll get you early access to the features when they come out. We'll get you a copy of the ebook when it comes out, and immediately we'll get you a $50 of credit so you can use the features that are there now and try it out if you haven't
Love it.
tried some of the features.
Love it. Thank you for doing that for our community. We appreciate that for
Happy
sure.
to.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Lee, we will send it out. And yes, our team usually posts it in school, but that's usually in a couple of days. We'll send you guys an email tomorrow. We'll have Tiff shoot out an email to everybody with the recording. We will send out a text tonight with some of those bonuses that Jordan talked about as well. So you guys can have that. And you have Coach Stephen's email if you want to ask him any further questions. Pick his brain. Let him know what you got. He's a pure professional and giving value. So awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Coach Stephen. I know you both have calls in like 2 minutes. So we're going to let you guys jump off. Thank you for your time. Thank you for attending and being here. These are for you to benefit you. Travel safe, be safe. Let us know if we can help you in your business. We're happy to do it. We'll see you guys next time.